News at this hour. Murder charges have been filed against 3 men in the shooting of rising Latino music artist De La Rosa. It happened on Saturday in Northridge. The 22-year-old was inside of a parked car when she was suddenly gunned down in an ambush-style attack in a possible gang-related robbery gone wrong. 2 other people in the car were shot and are in critical condition. The suspects have been identified as Francisco Gayton, Eduardo Lopez, and Benny Lincoln Gomez, who is being arraigned today. Gayton will be arraigned in January, and Lopez is still on the loose. If convicted, they each face life in prison without the possibility of parole.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 6. Starting at verse 7, it says, "If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him." Verse 8, "For some man is a friend for his own occasion, and will not abide in the day of thy trouble." I want to give all honor, all glory, and all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the elders of the nation of Israel. Shalom to you brothers out there that are laboring and during the elements, making your body a living sacrifice, trying to sow the elect, making your call and election sure, seeking out your own salvation, as well as you sisters that are learning, listening, applying, being obedient to your husbands. Shalom, shalom. Once again, it's the brother Zachariah coming back to you with another lesson. All right, here on this Monday afternoon, and Lord willing, this be edifying. So I'm going to read this again, all right? Let's go back to the book of Sirach, chapter 6, starting with verse 7. We'll give it a little chance to load up. This internet is moving very, very slow, so please bear with me with this lesson, okay? It's going to be kind of grievous as I'm on our Wi-Fi, but something's wrong with it, and it was acting up even yesterday. It's just moving very, very slow, so I wasn't even able to get a lesson out. And like I said, it's moving extremely slow. So, again, just bear with me, you know, and plus I'm dealing with a lot of adversities right now, you know, with my body, you know, my back, my lower back has went out. So it's a excruciating pain to even try to like stand up and move about. So, you know, that's something else that I'm dealing with right now. But I was getting a shower here a little bit ago, and during that, like I could barely even get into the shower. But you know, in that, my mind was just focused on this lesson. Through this lesson, I just want to get out and just get my first lesson going for the day. And Yahweh Shemar Shai, man, it's like he gave me some healing enough for me to stand up, because I was looking like Quasimodo. If y'all know Hunchback of Notre Dame, I felt like that. I mean, I'm all hunched over, just, you know, in a lot of pain trying to get to the my bathroom, man, and get a shower in. You know, at least, you know, because that shower, man, it do something to you, just give you that fresh feel, and you're like, you know, I can just, and then you start getting it going. But in that, I was still in a lot of pain and hunched over. But, you know, the Heavenly Father, man, just you know, he hit me with like that healing, man. OK, you know, and I don't care if it starts hurting right after the lesson, just as long as it just does what it did to get me to stand up straight, man. And I'm able to come out and do this lesson. So I'm dealing with that on top of this internet. So just bear with me. All right. But I just wanted to bring that out to let y'all know that's what's going on. Because, you know, yesterday, man, I was like intending on doing a few lessons. And it just, you know, you have something in your mind of how things are going to go, but it can go a whole different direction. All right. That just shows you that we don't have that power over this. All right. But all right, again, this is the book of Sirach 6, starting at verse 7. "If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him." OK, because, you know, sometimes, you know, you got to prove a friend. You know, you got to peep your surroundings, the people that you have around you, and know whether these people are good, upstanding people. OK, now more than ever. All right. You know, I could bring up the parable or the story of Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. You know, he selected 12 prominent men. OK, whose names will forever be etched in history. And we talk about those men. All right. But one of those men that was around him was named Judas. All right. And we know the story of Judas, and he ended up betraying the Messiah. All right. Now, after the fact that he did it, he realized, like, man, that it just like something hit his spirit, and realizing I betrayed the Son of God, and he couldn't live with himself to the point where he ended up hanging himself. He killed himself, which, the Book of Wisdom of Solomon tell you not to do that. So, but everything, the way that it played out exactly because Yahushua knew he was going to be betrayed, and he knew who was going to do it. All right. So he said that, and everybody's looking all like, oh, that's something. He's like, one of you are going to betray me. And because he knew, and it happened to be Judas. All right. But again, if thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him. All right. And let's go here back to verse 8. All right. Give it a little second to load. And like I said, this is it's moving very, very slow. So again, bear with me. I may not, if I have to scroll to the next page, I may not do that, because a lot of times I like to repeat these scriptures because I want it to marinate in your mind. All right. It's always good. And you got people that are taking notes and things like that. All right. But you can always, like, if you go back and watch these videos, that's why we do the videos. So you can go back, if you have to go back, and rewind it a little bit and see, like, what precept was that he was using, and you could just do that. All right. But a lot of times I like to repeat it. All right. But verse 8, it says, for some men is a friend for his own occasion, and will not abide in the day of thy trouble. OK, so that's leading me to this here, which I want to go to this article. All right. And this is from KTLA. This is, I guess, the news station out there, or one of them out there in L.A. But it says rising Latin singer gunned down in L.A. may have been set up by friends. So you see, and that's why I started off with that precept. OK, but they're saying may. You ain't saying that it was, but it's a possibility that this Latin singer, OK, which happened to be a female. All right. And she was a very beautiful looking woman. All right. It says Latin, which more than likely she was probably of the Northern Kingdom. She could be an Israelite. All right. But she was gunned down and says she might have been set up by her own people. All right. Her own friends. So you see that? That's why it says prove a friend. Now you can meet somebody and you might have a good friend. All right. And hey, don't be hasty into crediting them. Like, man, that you're a good friend. I truly appreciate you. I got there's a brother, he's always watching the videos, liking the videos. He tells you good lesson, things like that. That's a good spirit on that brother. And that's why I'm always telling that brother, I try to make it, even if I don't see the comment right then and there, I always try to make it my mission to comment back and tell him I truly appreciate you, brother, because I really do. And so that's being not hasty into crediting them, showing you that that's a true friend, because you got a lot of people around you and they're not around to watch the videos or get edified. They might be watching you looking to catch you slipping or something, so it's a beautiful thing to have a brother like that that's actually watching the videos, and he's watching it because he'll go into something that you said throughout the video. So he's showing you, hey, he's watching the videos. All right. So that's a beautiful thing, and that's why it's a blessing for those that have eyes to see and also ears to hear. OK, but back to this. All right. Which all praises and blessings unto that brother in his household. All right. May he continue to endure to the end. All right. But it says rising Latin singer gunned down in L.A. may have been set up by friends. All right. And it says 2 of the 3 people charged in the fatal shooting of 22-year-old, which is very young, Maria de la Rosa. All right. A rising Latin singer. OK, so she was rising. All right. All right. Or so she thought, because, hey, the scriptures tell you that the daughters of music shall be brought low. All right. But it says known professionally as De La Rosa. All right. Which I guess is all one word. All right. May have set the artist up according to a search warrant. All right. Affidavit. All right. Reviewed by the Los Angeles Times. OK. So you have that. All right. And I didn't want to read too much into all that, but I had this pulled up, which let me scroll down. All right. That's her right there. And like I said, I don't know where she's from. Like, I don't know if she might be Issachar, maybe she's Ephraim or something like that, as in Puerto Rico. 'Cause, you know, sometimes you see Ephraim in the Bible, it's talking about the entire Northern Kingdom. All right, but I'm talking about Ephraim as in the Puerto Ricans. All right, I don't know if she's Cuban. I don't know where she exactly is she from, because my internet's been acting slow, so I couldn't really get too much information on it. But it says, let's see, let's go back up. All right, here it is. It says shooting details. Shortly before 1:25 a.m., 3 men allegedly approached a parked vehicle, all right, on Bryant Street near Tampa Avenue, where De La Rosa and 2 others were sitting. The assailants demanded money, you know, so obviously they know who she was, and she could have been set up. All right, we're sitting, says the assailants demanded money and then opened fire, striking all 3 occupants. Okay. And it says victims. It says Maria De La Rosa was fatally struck by gunfire and pronounced dead at local hospital. The other 2 victims in the vehicle sustained critical injuries. So they survived, but she's no longer here. So I don't know, man. It seems kind of weird. But it says suspects and charges. It says 3 men of all from Northridge have been charged with murder and 2 counts of attempted second-degree robbery. Okay. Francisco Otilio, all right, Gatan, so these are Northern Kingdom brothers too. Look at this, Benny Lacon Gomez, all right, and then Eduardo Lopez, all right, and these are young guys, 27, and 21, all right, which the Eduardo Lopez, the young one, 21, says has an active arrest warrant and remains at large, so he's still out and about, all right. And it says the motive for the attack remains under investigation by the Los Angeles Police Department, though initial reports have considered it potentially gang related. So there's that. Recent reports suggest she may have been set up by people she knew. Okay, so you see that? And it could be male or female. I'm keeping that in mind. I don't know. I'm thinking that she really has, she probably has some male friends around her, but it could be some females too. All right, y'all. So this is her Instagram, and Salakia for that. I actually ended up using. I clicked onto my hotspot on my phone, which I can't use that for the whole month trying to do lessons, because if I me doing daily lessons, my hotspot and my data will probably be wiped out way before the next due date, and then everything's gonna move slow like it is right now with this Wi-Fi here. So I got to be mindful of that. But I'm using a little bit of it to get this lesson out, because I was trying to get to this page and it wouldn't load up. Like I said, the internet here it's moving very, very slow. I don't know what's going on. I'm even afraid to ask, what's going on. But hey, who knows? It could be Esau. It's just very cool. Because we're off today. I don't know if y'all know, we got hit right after my highways, which the flurries were coming down. I said, if you watch my highways, you'll know that I was talking about how it was getting cold out there. Like, man, my hands were feeling almost like frostbitten. I had to, when they start getting red, and I had gloves on, I had to put them on. And even with that, it got so cold, man. And I got home, I was trying to warm my hands up, but it was freezing cold, and that storm came out of nowhere. But the roads were so frozen, and up there where I work at, it's an industrial park. Everything, they didn't do anything to it. They didn't treat it, salt it, nothing. So my boss called yesterday, so I knew I was going to be off today. But then I didn't intend on my back giving out like it was. It's been giving me trouble all last week, in this weekend as well. But me getting up this morning, I was like, man, so that on top of that and that snow and stuff, I don't know. Maybe even the weather could play a part. It's been extremely cold here. Like this morning, it was 8 degrees this morning, but it was the other day, it felt like with the wind chill, everything was like in the negative, So my mom said up there in Iowa, she said some parts was like negative 24. So I was like, dang, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. So I don't know, but this internet, man, I don't know. It's just very ironic that it's acting up on the day that I'm off when I could be focusing. So it makes me think like, hey, man, this is a spiritual attack. Satan Satan don't want you doing this, man. Because what we do, we have this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and we are able to edify our people. So this damn devil, man, is even with Esau, Edom, he got devices. We know that they're watching and listening. I brought out an article in my highways. They watching through your TVs, these phones. They hate the fact that what we're doing. So, we're as the men of the Lord, we're trying to be diligent and stuff. We don't want a Jake that's watching you thinking that you ain't being diligent, not knowing the whole matter. But that's why I always explain myself, and not because of them, but as part of it. But I really do it for the sincere ones, because I care about the sheep, and we just letting them know in case somebody's truly concerned and worried. That's what I'm dealing with. So that's what's happening over here at the moment. So that's why I bring that out. But a little bit for them too, since, they are, there's people that do be listening in, not with the intent of being edified or just being a brother, but looking for something. All right, that ain't there. But this is that De La Rosa woman. All right, like I said, she is a good looking woman, man. It's sad, but hey, this is what happens out here in Babylon. All right, but it says in love and memory. All right, Sophia Maria De La Rosa. All right, born October 9th, 2003, and she died November 22nd, 2025, man. All right, so which I've been seeing this article and about her passing, and I was gonna talk about it, but then I was like, nah. But then when I saw the recent one earlier today, that's when I knew in the spirit, I'm like, I need to go ahead and go into this, because the time that we're in, you definitely want to be mindful about the company you keep. Okay, so here it is. She lost her life, and they're thinking that it could have been so-called friends of hers. All right, which reminded me of Selena. Here it was. She was very popular, and then what was it, like her manager or something that killed her? And I don't know. I guess that woman was like jealous of her or something. Hey, that stuff can happen, man. Spirit can come on you. All right. So you have that. All right, and it was something on here. See if I can find it. I don't know. Is this it? No. She had a video. Let's see if I can. Maybe I'll just do this. Is this it? This ain't it, but this one can also be a good example too. I mean, look at the type of lifestyle she's living. Look at this. The clothes and stuff. I could bring out so many scriptures on that, but just for the sake of time, the topic is really about the friends you keep. But look at the lifestyle she's living. All right. You think it's good because, people see this and that's what their lifestyle they want. Like chasing the bag, the fine clothes. Look at this. Look at the type of clothes, strippers and stuff, traveling in the world. Look at that. Diamonds and jewels. See? Living it up. So you think that, somebody wouldn't target her. And when you put all that up on social media like that, people already assume, hey, she got money, so they're going to look at you to rob you. All right. I don't think this is it. Look, smoking. All right. That's going off. Defiling your body. I don't know if this one's it. No, this ain't it. It was one that she had. I can't find it. But she had a video. It was on here. I don't see it now. But she had a video that was on here. And all the guys that were around her, she had her surroundings. Is this it? No, that's that same one. It was one that she had. It was just as a video clip, but she had her entourage around her, and they all had like guns and all kind of stuff. So when you live that type of lifestyle, it can come back to get you. All right. And like I said, I can't find that clip on her now. I don't know which one it was. Is this it? Those are just pictures. I don't know. I thought it was like one of her first posts because I was on here and I seen it. Come back on here. Maybe is it on here? Sometimes they have the pictures and the videos. See, in Salakia, I don't want to be showing y'all all that. But it was a clip she had, man. And Is this? Nope, this ain't it. Is that it? Nope. Anyways, I don't know, but it was an actual video clip she had on here. And in that clip, you know, like I said, her entourage, you know, she had a bunch of guys, and they looked like they were of the Northern Kingdom too, but they were all strapped with guns in the video. You know, she got money and looked like, you know, drugs, probably like weed or something in the video, liquor, you know, money, like what you saw in the other clip, just living it up. All right. So this is, you know, this is why she became a target. All right. This is the book of 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 6. It says, but she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. So even though she was still living and they was talking about she was a rising star, she was already dead. She was like, you know, they got that saying, dead man walking. You know, she's out and about, but she was dead spiritually, man. You know, you had no life in you. All right. Which that life is the source of that life is Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You know, and if you are an Israelite, which more than likely she probably is of the Northern Kingdom, then she should be coming back to her power. All right, come back to the law, statutes, and commandments. That type of lifestyle is going to get you murked. It get you killed. You know. So the Bible even tell you can't serve Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua and mammon. You go into mammon, it can go into riches and wealth, and money, and all that. Okay, and that's the type of lifestyle she was chasing. All right, and then the type of people that just even off the clip. She didn't have really good company around her. All right. But again, it says, but she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. All right. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 26 and verse 21. It says, as coals are burning, as coals are to burning coals, all right, and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. All right. So you see, you don't want to have contentious individuals around you, which this is that word strife. All right. It says angry or bitter disagreement over fundamental issues, conflict. OK, look at that discord. OK, which the Heavenly Father doesn't like when people try to sow discord among the brotherhood. Look, disagreement, dissension. All right. Argument, quarreling, which I can go to like argument, look, bickering, controversy, contention. All right. Ill feeling. You see, he might have an ill feeling towards you because here it is. You're living this lifestyle and you obviously have more money than them. They might be your friends, but you're able to travel more. You're getting the more finer things in life, and they want that. OK, maybe they start hitting hard times because things are getting bad out here. A lot of these celebrities, a lot of them are starting to hitting it hard. That's why a lot of them, old actors, they keep wanting to retire, but they can't. You got to keep making movies. You got Denzel. He's tired. He was like, man, he said he had a couple more movies that he's doing and then he's ready to retire. All right. But hey, just because he say that don't mean because, who sign out their paychecks? Esau Edom. He might say, nah, we want you still making movies, and if you refuse, they'll take you out. All right. Not saying that that's how they'll do him, but it's a possibility. Esau don't care. All right. They sign your paychecks, man. You gonna go out there because they make money off you, all right, and you just want to retire and live it up. But everything is getting so darn high out here, people can't afford it. Look, bad blood, hostility, animosity. Look, having animosity, falling out. You end up falling out with people. Okay, at strife. Okay. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 5 and verse 26. It says, for among my people are found wicked men. So see, amongst our people, there are very wicked individuals. OK, it says they lay wait. All right. As he that set of snares. We know Esau was the cunning hunter, and we're under the vibration of Esau Edom, the oppressor. All right. This dude is a cunning hunter, and a hunter will lay snares and traps. So the wicked of our people that are moving like the wicked, which is Esau Edom, the border of wickedness, they're going to be doing the same thing. So again, it says, for among my people are found wicked men. They lay wait as he that set of snares. They set a trap. They catch men. And in this case, they caught a woman, man. All right. And the two with her, which they sustained those injuries, but they obviously they still have their lives. She's gone. All right. At a very young age, So, hey, but this is the reality of things. All right, this is Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 26, because I don't know. I'm guessing that her close friends could I mean, it could be male, but they could have been female too. There could be some jealous females around her that set her up. All right. And it says, and I find it more bitter than death, the woman whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands. Whoso pleaseth Yahweh about Shem Yahushua shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. All right. And you see the lifestyle that she was living, and she was taken by them. All right. That's the reality of things, man. All right. Sad situation, but hey, this is what happens. This is the book of Sirach, all right, chapter 8, verse 16. It says, strive not with an angry man, and an angry woman too, all right, and go not with him, all right, into a solitary place, for blood is as nothing in his sight. You see that? And where there is no help, all right, he will overthrow thee, all right. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 5, all right, reading verse 2, all right, because iniquities in these times are being increased, all right. I've been bringing this precept out a lot lately too, because iniquities are being increased in these last days, and you can see, people just don't care no more, man. You got so-called friends, and they will stab you in your back, man. And that was one of the reasons, like, I got out of the music. Well, the truth, coming into this truth, really, that was the nail. That was the nail in the coffin. But I was already getting out of it because actually I went solo because I was in a group. I started a label, but I was in a group, and I got out of that group because a lot of people started. I started feeling that jealousy, that envy, that contentious, amongst those around me. And I'm like, okay, I got to go, But 2nd Ezra 5 and verse 2, it says, but iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. All right. So whatever you seen back then, you're going to see it on a whole nother level. All right. Unimaginable levels, in these end times. Okay. Matthew 24, verse 12, it says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Okay. If her friend set her up, that's a cold spirit, to do that to somebody. All right. That's a very cold spirit, to do that. But people do it. There was I brought this out in another lesson before, but it's good to bring it out even in this situation. But there was I was watching this murder thing on YouTube. It was like a case, and this guy got killed. Obviously, he was into drug dealing, which that's going off. But he had a so-called friend of his, and I guess he was down with him or whatever. I'm not sure if he even was dealing too, but he fell on hard times while the other brother, he continued and he was flourishing, even though he was doing that, but he was flourishing a little bit more. He had the nice car. He had, he was getting his little product and selling it and stuff like that. Well, the other guy, he's hit hard times, and instead of just hitting the homie up who he grew up with, he knew this guy, he grew up with him, and they were very, very tight, very close, like brothers. So, I'm sure, if you hit hard times, you could have just asked him, hey, man, can you spot me a little something? I'm going through it, a little money, I'm hurting right now. I'm sure he would have did that for him. But his pride was like, I'm not asking, I'm just going to take. So he set his homie up and he killed him. He killed his best friend, And the cops were trying to get him to confess it because they already knew he was trying to, do all this stuff. Yeah, it was here, it was there, whatever. And they was like, man, look, there's cameras and everything. And they traced all the phone calls and how everything played out. And they placed him right there, And then eventually the reality hit him that he did that, And I think that's when he broke down at the very end. But he was just playing it so cool and calm. And it's like, how can you do that after you killed somebody you grew up with? And that reality hit him. And that had to be a demonic spirit, like you killed your homie, man, because you hit hard times. And like I said, you could have asked him, and I'm sure he would have spot you, but, that's, hey, but that type of lifestyle, that's what that leads to. But again, it says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. All right. So yeah, you definitely, hey, prove a friend. Prove a friend. All right. That example. And then this here with this De La Rosa chick, man. All right. We're going to stay in the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter. We'll just move up a few verses. All right. Start with verse 9, read down to 10. But it says, then shall they deliver you up, all right, to be afflicted, all right, and shall kill you. And we know that ultimately this can be referring to those that are coming back into the faith and the truth. Because when you come back to this, a lot of people will try to betray you. A lot of them act funny when you come around because, you know, you don't partake in the holidays and things that are happening and coming about. You know, we don't partake in them. So they, you know, we don't do the birthdays. We don't do the Halloween, the Thanksgiving, the Christmas, the New Year's, all of those stuff. We don't do none of those, you know. And because of that, you know, even your own kinfolk, you know, so but we doing all this. We would forsake all that for Yahweh Shem Yahweh's namesake. All right. But again, it says, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. It says all nations. All right. Verse 10, it says, and then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. And that's another thing, because, hey, you know, Yahweh Shai said, hey, I'm not bringing peace, but rather division. OK, he said, think not that I've come to bring peace. He says, but I'm bringing a sword. All right. So, I mean, if he's bringing division, that's why you're seeing all this happening. Everybody's divided now. People backstabbing. You had couples that were married for 30 years. Now, all of a sudden, there's a lot of people getting divorced. You're seeing a lot of that. I've seen some people around here in my city that I've known for years, and you would think they would never got a divorce. There were couples, people I knew, they were with somebody, you know, and you think that they never would break up. Now they done broken up. You know, it's crazy. But again, it says, and then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. All right. And see, we got to understand this, you know, we're not greater than Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. All right. This is the book of John, chapter 15, verse 20 says, remember the word that I said unto you. The servant is not greater than his Lord. So you see, if they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. So see, and I'm looking at this as a spiritual sense, you know, as for us. OK, now, yeah, this sister, obviously, she was living wickedly. OK, and she got judgment. OK, harsh judgment. But, you know, when you have videos, which I wish I could have found that video. I don't know if maybe they might have removed it, you know, from the time I seen it to coming down here to do the video. But there was a clip that she had on there. And like I said, it was like a part of her music video. You know, she had, you know, the guns, the guys in the background with guns in their hands, you know, the gangs and all that stuff and that type of lifestyle, you know. And then that's how she went out, you know. But, you know, we're not greater than Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and we're being slaughtered, man, in Babylon the Great. OK. But again, it says, remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they had persecuted me, they will also persecute you. OK, if they have kept my saying, OK, they will keep yours also. All right. So we will be persecuted out here. OK, for sure. That's why this is very important. OK, this is the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, starting in verse 15. And I'll go ahead and close it out with this. And I pray that this has been an edifying lesson. Salakia for, you know, taking its time to load up a little bit. You know, it's been giving me a little headache. But hey, the word coming out. All right. But it says, see then that you walk circumspectly. OK, circumspectly as in being cautious. OK, you know, being watchful. All right. You know, your surroundings. All right. See then that you walk circumspectly. OK, it says not as fools, but as wise. OK, because we know wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. And that wisdom and knowledge is not of this world, but the wisdom and knowledge of the Most High. OK, which is found here in the Holy Scriptures. OK, it says redeeming the time. OK, which means, you know, we're supposed to be measuring the times, you know, in these last days. OK, redeeming the time because the days are evil. You see that? The days are very evil out here. All right. We know that the Bible says the devil goes about like a roaring lion seeking who he may devour. Okay. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. And what is that? It's for us Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Okay. She referred to herself as Latino, or they did in the article. Okay. But those are bywords. All right. We would, by way of your father, you would be an Israelite. Okay. Unless her father goes back to a Spaniard, then she would be an Edomite. But more than likely, she's an Israelite, so, and that's what's happening to our people on a daily. They're living this work, they live in that type of lifestyle, that fast life, all right? The guns, the drugs, the liquor, the, being, dressing like a hooker, a prostitute, a stripper, and just all kind of stuff, madness, and then that's the end results, okay? That's the end results. But what the will is of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, it's not for us to truly perish, but it's for us to come to repentance. Okay. Before this place swallow you up, man. This is not the time to be playing around. This place is wicked, man. And it's definitely putting a strain on us. Even us in this truth, we see it, man. We feel it. We're just like, but we hastening for this place to fall. All right. We know that through much tribulation shall you enter into the kingdom. So despite everything that I'm going through, in my personal life, I'm still, hey, I'm gonna smile, through the afflictions. All right. I think about Job. Job went through hell, man, but he keeps praising Yahweh Shem Yahushua no matter what. And I ain't a perfect man, but at the end of the day, man, the Heavenly Father has blessed me with this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, this truth, man, this gospel. All right. And I'm not going to take that for granted. All right. And you shouldn't either. All right. So with that, call all Yahweh Shem Yahushua. I want to give all honor, all glory, and all praise unto Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the elders of the nation of Israel. And shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. And to the next one, shalom.